Welcome, 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 everybody. Sorry, I was realized I left my headphones in the other room, and I won't be able to hear later on if I don't have them. Oh man, episode 25 of Sports Stuff Hub Live here on beautiful, somewhat sunny today here in Washington, March 9th of 2021. We have some fun tonight. Dean is going to be joining me a little bit later. He's going to be on later tonight to talk a little bit of the happenings in the NFL. We're going to get a little bit started on that to start with, but we're going to be talking about a number of things around the NFL, including such things like Dak's mega contract that he signed. Dean will be joining me tonight around 7 o'clock Pacific time, so just stay tuned for him. We're going to get a little bit into the comments to start with. A couple of you guys were in early. I saw that. Thank you very much. Tony, the complimentary snacks are in the back of the room if you missed the table when you walked in. I know it's kind of tucked off into the corner. There's drinks on the table back there as well. Take your pick. Number of things back there. The studio was gracious enough to provide us with a large assortment of beverages tonight. Yeah, it was pouring rain earlier, a little bit ago. It's actually stopped here now. Cloudy Arizona for the first time in forever, it feels like. Dang. Cloudy in Arizona. Yeah, that's not typical. But while I'm thinking about it, tonight we do have a couple of blasters that we're going to open a little bit later of Optic Football. I will say I misadvertised this earlier. When I ordered these off the Fanatics website, I thought these were Fanatics exclusives. And I tweeted out a little bit ago, if anybody tried to buy these and missed out a couple weeks ago, don't feel bad because these are not actually Fanatics exclusives. The FOMO hit everybody that bought these so fast and so hard that they thought these were exclusives, and they are not. They're basic blaster boxes, and I'm a little disappointed because Fanatics put them up at $60 a box. I was one of those that jumped on with the FOMO. So we have basic Optic blaster boxes, not Fanatics exclusives. They showed up today, so we can rip these today. We'll give away some cards out of those at the end of the show. Chance of Rain Friday. Glorious. Glorious in Arizona. One thing I am going to mention here, talk a little hobby before we get rolling on the show. If you are in the area, or if you just want to travel to the area, because, I mean, let's face it, Seattle's a beautiful area to come visit. There are some great card shows coming up. As some of you know, I go around and do the Twin Oaks cards and collectibles show circuit. And we have, coming up in 2 weekends, we have the show in Auburn, which so far has been the biggest show of the area. As you see there, Mall 205 from March 6th is already done, but the next one coming up is the Outlet Collection in Auburn on March 20th. I did get an email from the director of the show. His name's Ron. He is 100% booked. This show is going to be absolutely insane for size. It is going to be the largest card show in Washington in years. This is going to beat the annual Washington Collectors Show. This thing is massive. There's going to be 100 plus tables. It's going to be in 2 sections of the mall. It is going to be huge. So if you're in the area, definitely make sure you come check it out. Show hours are from about 9 to 4, but collectors start showing up early. Like I said, there's going to be 100 plus tables. And then if you look right below that, you see there April 3rd and April 4th. They have expanded the show's reach up into Everett. And I don't know if this is going to become a monthly thing, a quarterly thing, or what the deal is. But the Everett Mall has allowed us into there as well, and they're going to do a 2-day show in the Everett Mall. And as you see there, Saturday the 3rd is going to be sports card focused, and Sunday the 4th is going to be comic book focused. And talking to Ron, the director of the Twin Oaks shows, he told me this past weekend at the Portland show that he has not even started to get comic book guys into the shows so far, because he's been working on getting the sports card people into the show, which is why he asked for the second day at the Everett Mall just for the comic book guys. Ron told me he's got 200 plus people on his mailing list just for comic books, which equals at least 50 different vendors. So what we've seen so far in Washington with the cards and collectibles shows so far has been mostly sports card focused. The comic book side of it is almost as big, if not bigger, than the sports collectibles guys. So if we're going to combine the comic book guys into these shows more, these shows are going to become massive. And that's what I was talking about on social media today. Tony, you and I were actually having a conversation earlier regarding a potential for whether a semi-annual or an annual large regional show. And if we're already looking at 80 vendors locally, add in comic book guys, let's call it 100, and then we start bringing in people from other states, all of a sudden we're talking 200-300 vendors coming in from other states. And I think doing a large show at something like the Taco Dome in Tacoma would be doable. And again, I mentioned this in a Twitter conversation with Tony earlier today. I'm actually planning on talking to Ron, the director of the Twin Oaks shows, at this coming show, on his thoughts about doing a large show. Because what I was told before I moved into this area, there was a yearly or every other year show that was going on at the Tacoma Dome, and it was a big regional show, and they used to get 400 or 500 vendors into that thing, from what I heard. Now again, that was before I was a part of any shows in this area, so I can't speak to any of the truths of it, but multiple people in this area who have been doing circuits have told me about that. So if that's something that Ron gets more into and advances his circuit to that level, I'm all for it. I would love to see a large regional show happen in Tacoma. That would be fantastic. So anyway, back to the locals. So we've got Auburn coming up on Saturday, March 20th. We've got Everett coming up on April 3rd and 4th. Sports cards on Saturday, comic books on Sunday. I will be there both days. I'm doing sports cards and Funkos on Saturday, and then I'm doing just Funko toys on Sunday. So I'll be there both days for both sides of it. And then we get into the rest of April. We've got Mall 205 in Portland on Saturday the 10th. And then we go back to Auburn at the Outlet Collection on Saturday the 24th before we get into May. And May has a lot of fun as well. So make sure, if you have access to go to these shows, do not miss these, because these are exploding. And the more vendors that come in, the better. That means the more selection that the buyers have. Just going to these shows and talking to the customers that come up and have sizable collections, or have thought about setting up at a show, there's a lot of untapped potential for vendors, for these guys who have never been to a show, have never done a show. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've talked to 6 different people on Twitter just in the Washington area, and I'm talking greater Seattle metro area, who didn't even know there was card shows going on in this area. And the Twin Oaks card shows have been going on for 7, 8, 9 years. On top of that, the Washington State Collectors Association has been doing the yearly card show, or actually semi-annual card show. They normally did one in the summer and then did one in the winter. And that's been going on for 20 years. So for collectors to not know that there's card shows going on in Washington, especially in the social media age of today that we live in, kind of surprising, and it's kind of cool getting some of these guys who are getting back into collecting, and now they're starting to come to shows because they get to interact with vendors, they get to interact with other collectors, like-minded people, and they get to kind of expand their collecting radius, we'll call it. And it's a great place to network. I've always told people ever since I started, the first time I ever did a show back when I was in high school, I thought it was fantastic because you get to meet some of these people, and it takes you beyond just trading with people on social media. You're getting face-to-face interaction, and that's why, like, when people come to my table and I'm talking to people, to me that's like a vacation for me at the same time as working. But I love the interaction with the customers and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So if you haven't been to a card show, I highly recommend going one. If you're in the area to go to one of the card shows in Portland, Auburn, or Everett, I definitely recommend checking out the Twin Oaks card shows. They are top notch. Okay, getting over to a couple other announcements we've got. Revolution Basketball comes out tomorrow for anybody who is a basketball collector and likes the Revolution brand. It's one of my favorite brands each year. I'm not an autograph chaser. I prefer parallels. And that, to me, because of the different parallel sets throughout Revolution, it's one of my favorite products. Plus, if you do happen to get an autograph, they tend to be on card with Revolution. Fantastic product. And then there we go. On Friday, we have, get up there, we have Panini One Football coming out on Friday. A little bit higher end for only getting one card. You get one slabbed autograph per box. One card per box. And it's a $550, $600+ product right now that people are selling it for. But it's like I said, it's a higher end product. If you bought Panini 1-and-1 basketball, which actually had two cards, it had the slabbed autograph, but then it also had the slabbed base card. This is just like that, except it's one card. I haven't seen a checklist for it yet. I know with 1-and-1, they included downtowns in the 1-and-1 basketball. I don't believe they're doing that in football because the downtowns are part of the Donruss and the Optics set. So, we'll see. But I know they did downtowns in 1-and-1. If they throw it in, I would be surprised if they did downtowns in Panini 1 football, just because it's only one card versus two cards. Donruss Baseball comes out next week. That is on Wednesday of next week, it looks like. Yeah, looks like Wednesday of next week. And then we also have Select Football comes out in a couple weeks, it looks like. So we've got quite a few hobby products that are coming out. After this week is done, it looks like mostly through the next week is Topps product. We have Inception Baseball coming out. We have Opening Day coming out. Donruss Baseball actually might be... Donruss Baseball actually might be this week. It might be Friday. Give me 1 second here to verify. I've got a actual email from Panini. Give me a moment. Donruss Baseball is Friday, March 12th, so that is this week. It is this week. Yep. Okay, so perfect. So Donruss Baseball comes out this week. That makes sense because there's no Panini products coming out next week at all. It's all Topps. So next week is Inception, and then Opening Day to follow, and then we see, finally, then we get back into some more Panini products at the end of the month. March 24th, it looks like we've got Absolute Memorabilia Basketball coming out. Select Football is currently scheduled for Wednesday, March 24th as well. We will see if that holds true. And then we get Encased Football Wednesday, March 31st. So those are a couple of big ones that are coming out. And if this holds up, which I have a feeling they're going to push the date back, but if it holds up, we also get Prism Basketball on Wednesday, March 31st as well. My sneaking suspicion is that they're going to push it back, but it's potential that that is also going to be releasing this month as well. And by the way, if anybody did see what Diamond Cards put pre-orders up for Prism Basketball, $3,000. Yeah, I was way off. I said 1,500. I thought was going to be the first numbers out. Diamond blew that out of the water. $3,100 per box that they are pre-selling. That they have it up for pre-sale. Who knows if anybody's actually buying them? But $3,100 per hobby box of Prism Basketball. That's insane. That's insane. That right there is going to drive the flippers absolutely crazy. There is not going to be a Prism box left on a shelf longer than 5 seconds. There's going to be lines at Targets and Walmarts, and the bot guys are going to be going crazy online to snag retail because blasters are going to be... Imagine a $3,100 hobby box. Blasters are going to be jumping upwards of $300 out the gate. That is insane. So, I'm a little nervous about this kind of price. I don't believe that $3,000 on the introductory price is sustainable. I'm with you, Dave. $2,000 reasonable. Well, and I use that term loosely. I wouldn't say reasonable. $2,000 would have been expected. $3,000 is asinine. That's just stupid. So, but yeah, so Prism Basketball currently slated for a March 31st release. Yeah, okay. A lot of money going to get thrown around the hobby this month. Okay, so what are some of our topics tonight? Things going on in the NFL. There's been a lot of drama over the last week. If you guys have been paying attention to it, it is insane. I've been trying to keep up with the tweets and retweeting them so that you guys catch them on your timelines. But stuff like this alone. Patriots and Raiders agreed to a trade that'll send Trent Brown to the New England Patriots. Brown also agreed to a reworked contract for 1 year that is expected to be worth up to $11 million as part of the deal, per Field Yates. So Trent Brown, if you're not familiar with Trent Brown, offensive tackle, he was with New England a few years ago, and he is a behemoth of a man. That guy is a giant. He makes Aaron Donald look small, and Aaron Donald is a big man. So, like I said, a lot of drama happening in the NFL right now. A lot of moves. I think it was Diana Rossini from NFL Network, or one of the girls from NFL Network, bang up job lately, and tweeted out that this last week and this week were going to be massacre weeks in the NFL because of people releasing players to get themselves under the anticipated $180 to $181 million salary cap, which is down from, I think, 198 last year. And because of the restructure of the salary cap due to not being able to have fans at the stadiums, lost revenues and whatnot, teams are panicking and releasing veteran players to clear up, anywhere from $5 to $10 million per cap dump. just to get themselves under the cap, or to clear up enough room so that they can take care of some of their needs in free agency that they don't anticipate being able to through the draft. Um, and I tell you, there has been some bangers that have already happened. We talked about it last week, one of which being Kyle Van Noy getting released from Miami, which caught a ton of people, including him, off guard. But some other notables. Let me see if I can find some notable releases. Malcolm Butler was notified today that he was going to be released from the Tennessee Titans. A lot of you guys are familiar with Malcolm Butler, cornerback. Used to be the cornerback for the Patriots, and was actually the man who picked off Russell Wilson for the game-winning interception in the Super Bowl, Patriots versus Seahawks. He is now going to be a free agent. Speaking of the Seahawks cut Carlos Dunlap, defensive end, after making a trade to grab him from the Bengals this past year, and he helped their defense tremendously. And now he got his walking papers with 1 year left on his contract, which is going to save him about, I think it was like $9.8 million or $10.1 million on the salary cap. And Seattle needed some cap space to be able to get a couple of pieces taken care of in free agency. Another notable, LaMarcus Joyner, free safety for Oakland. He was released today. Alex Smith, everybody knows the Alex Smith feel-good comeback story of the year. Washington football team's quarterback. Got hurt a couple years ago, underwent like 17 surgeries or 21 surgeries, whatever it was, an insane amount of surgeries. People thought he wasn't ever going to play football again. Doctors thought he would never play football again, and he bounced back, rehabbed the shit out of his leg, and made it back onto the football field. And there was some interviews that came out where he basically called out Washington, saying that, hey, they didn't want me back. So they released him, so he's going to end up probably being a backup somewhere, potentially getting a chance. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, he's kind of on the wrong side of 35, so who knows if he's going to get another shot. And then another notable name that's hitting free agency, Golden Tate, wide receiver for the Giants. Another former Detroit Lion and former Seattle Seahawk. He got his walking papers as well. Some of the comments, what do we got in here? What was the big card product drama that you were tweeting about earlier this week? The drama that I on Friday, I believe I tweeted it. Long story short, PWCC sold a Tom Brady Contenders autographed rookie card. BGS 885, something like that. And so they sold it. It set the record 1.3 million or whatever it was. And when their social media person put the picture out, Probstein had the card originally, or most recently, I should say, and they had a picture of the card, and they sold it to PWCC for 300 and something thousand, I guess, last summer. PWCC sold it when they put out the advertisement that it sold. The social media person or the marketing person swapped the picture and actually photo edited the picture, because the picture that they had, apparently according to PWCC, they didn't like the picture because there was a bad glare in it. So the media, the marketing person photo swapped the card as a different card, but left the BGS label at the top of the picture. So it looked like two different cards with the same BGS criteria on it. And that was what got announced as sold. Well, people just picked it apart. So Darren Oval tweeted about it. He's already covered it. They've already interviewed both sides of it. Now, what had happened in the hours following that was there was some speculation going around that the card had been faked, and that PWCC had taken a fake card without verifying the slab and sold it because there was an existing card with that same slab. And so it sent, there was some group chats that a number of large collectors and card stores, card shops around the country are a part of, and they basically, I don't know if they jumped the gun or if they didn't look into it or what the case may be, but there was a lot of speculation that there was actually 2 slabs and that one of them was fake. So nothing else has come out, and again, I didn't want to go blasting anybody in case somebody else jumped the gun. That was just what I'd heard this from multiple sources, and that's why I was waiting until something came out, because I wasn't about to blast them in case, that had already been cleared up and whatnot, or, somebody may have taken the information and run with it and spread it to a bunch of different people. I don't know. I do know that what happened with PWCC was that their marketing person had swapped the picture of the card but left the BGS label on top. That I do know is accurate. But as far as the rest of it, though, I'm still waiting to see if anything comes of that rumor, I'm going to call it for now, because I heard it from multiple people, but I don't know if their sources were all the same person. I don't know. So if anything comes out beyond it, then it does. Let's see here. David. Yeah, sorry for bringing up the Malcolm Butler play, David. So, a couple other big things that happened. We are in the middle of the franchise tag period, and a number of players have been franchise tagged already, including Chris Godwin, wide receiver for Tampa Bay, which this was largely seen by a lot of people. Tampa Bay has been very open the fact that they were going to try to bring back as many of their core players from this past season as possible so that they can try to repeat. And so it's been speculated that Chris Godwin was going to get tagged anyways. Also, Marcus May, safety for the Jets, was tagged. Taylor Moton, the tackle for Carolina. Allen Robinson begrudgingly was tagged. It kind of sounds like he wants out of there, but it was very clear for weeks that Chicago was not going to let Allen Robinson walk. So he's going to get tagged. Now, whether it's a tag and trade or he signs and plays, I don't know yet. I think part of that's going to depend on what they do at quarterback. I know there's a lot of speculation going on right now that Chicago is going to make a play to try to make a trade effort to Seattle. I just don't know if Chicago's got the legs in trade capital to get Russell Wilson from the Seahawks. There's a lot of speculation going on with that one because Sierra apparently openly said that she would love to move to Chicago, and Russell Wilson mentioned that Chicago is a place he wouldn't mind going to. Or I should say, Team 3 said that. I don't know if Russell Wilson has actually ever said anything about any of this stuff. But anyway, Allen Robinson tagged. Cam Robinson, tackle for Jacksonville, he got tagged. That was actually kind of we saw that one coming for a couple of days. Brandon Scherf got tagged for a second time. He's guarding Washington, and he is becoming a beast, and he's going to cash in on this one. They're going to try to get him re-signed before the end of this next season, which would be very good for them, especially if they do end up going young and drafting a quarterback this year. Scherf's going to be needed. Justin Simmons, free safety for Denver, also a back-to-back tag for him. That's the second time he was tagged. I kind of thought they were going to get him restructured. It sounds like this is mostly procedural and that they are going to have him restructured even before the new league year, the June 1st time period. Leonard Williams, defensive line for the New York Giants, also tagged for a second time. Sounds like they're going to try to work a long-term contract with him as well. Marcus Williams, safety for the Saints, was announced that they tagged him today. which kind of came out of left field. Saints are kind of cap strapped, so it's a little shocking that they even used their tag this year, because that's going to be a $10 million price tag for them to keep him on the franchise tag. A big one, but not a big one. You're going to see rumblings that Dak Prescott was tagged, purely procedural. They're doing that because that'll be his third tag, and it completely eliminates the potential for him being tagged in the future. Because at that point, then his tag number would be way too high for any team to ever tag him. They're tagging him, and then he's signing his new contract, and he just signed a mega deal, which we're going to talk about in a little while. A big, massive 4-year, $160 million contract. And again, like I said, we're going to break that down a little bit later, especially when Dean comes on. We're going to talk about that one, because Dean's actually also a Washington football team fan, so he has his hands in the NFC least as well. But Dak, mega deal. Congratulations, Dak Prescott, on that deal. That is a monster deal for him. A few guys who were notified today that they would not be getting franchise tagged, and a couple of these are surprises. Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers. I fully believed that he was going to be back this year. I am surprised that they are not having him come back. He was a key piece of that offense. And for them to not bring him back after the seasons that he's had the last 2 years is a little bit shocking. Now, granted, that's going to hit them heavy in the cap if they do tag him. So I guess not overly surprising that he won't be back. But he's going to fetch easily $10 to $15 million on the open market. He's a damn good running back. Kenny Golladay was informed today that he would not be tagged, and he followed it up with a tweet, "Freedom," which Allen Robinson then turned around and liked, and basically showing off that he's not happy that he got tagged. It is what it is. Chris Carson, running back for the Seattle Seahawks, was informed today he will not be tagged, and he will reach free agency as well. Another running back that is going to command a premium. But Chris Carson, I don't know if he's going to get as big of a deal as Aaron Jones. A lot of it for the fact that he's oft injured. So I don't know how many teams are really going to pay for a habitually injured running back. Shaquille Griffin also informed today he would not be franchise tagged cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks, but it does sound like they are going to attempt to get him signed. So again, we'll see if that comes to fruition. I know Seahawk fans would like to have him because he's a very good cornerback. He will probably bring a fair amount on the free agent market, but whether or not he ends up back in Seattle remains to be seen. A monster today, Hunter Henry, tight end for the LA Chargers, was informed he will not be back with the Chargers. And let's all put the memes of the Bill Belichick storming in to sign him. It has been very well known that Bill Belichick is a massive fan of Hunter Henry, and most likely Hunter Henry will end up a Patriot. Immensely talented tight end. Again, some injury problems, but Bill Belichick has said it on numerous occasions, on record, that he believed that Hunter Henry was one of the most talented tight ends in the NFL. He's been a follower of Hunter Henry's career since he was in high school, so he knew this kid was coming up. So I fully expect Bill Belichick to make a very hard push to bring Hunter Henry to New England. Tennessee Titans tight end, try to say that 3 times fast, Jonnu Smith, was also informed today he would not be franchise tagged, so he will also hit the open market. Jonnu Smith, who's had a couple of very, very big breakout seasons over the last 5 years, and then has had a few where he's had some injury problems, and staying on the field has been a problem, and durability for a tight end can be a struggle because of the wear and tear on their body. Jonnu Smith will hit free agency. An up-and-coming name, Romeo Okwara from Detroit, defensive end for the Detroit Lions, is going to see free agency as well, as he was informed he will not be franchise tagged this year. He will easily fetch a nice contract. He is probably one of the better defensive ends in free agency. Another big name that I guess probably wasn't that big of a surprise that he's not going to be tagged now that J.J. Watt has signed with the Arizona Cardinals. Hassan Reddick, linebacker, Arizona Cardinals, will not be back with the Cardinals this year. He is out the door. They are not going to franchise tag him. They are not going to be able to pay him because of the J.J. Watt contract. So Hassan Reddick is going to pack his bags and keep it moving. It'll be interesting where he goes because he's a damn good linebacker, and he should command a premium as well. Among other linebackers that were notified today, they would not be franchise tagged. Pittsburgh Steelers stud outside linebacker Bud Dupree will not return to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2021 because it's fully anticipated that he is going to sign a nuclear deal with the way he's played the last 2 years. And rightfully so. Bud Dupree, fantastic time as a Steeler over the last 2 seasons. I've enjoyed watching you play. Good luck in your future, and I hope you nothing but success. Would love to keep him a Steeler, but I don't believe that they're going to be able to do that financially responsibly and not destroy signings that they need. So we're going to have to move on from the Bud Dupree, TJ Watt bookends. It is what it is, but if Highsmith is as good as he was this past year filling in for injured Bud Dupree, we should be fine. Steelers are never short of a next man up linebacker, and they showed that this year with all the injuries to their defense, and they still played well. Between Spillane, aka Bob Spokane, and Highsmith, and Marcus Allen, linebacker that they actually just extended. So we'll see the linebacker position always be deep in Pittsburgh, and I'll enjoy this. Anyway, thank you, Bud Dupree. Let's see here. What do we got on the chat board? Marcus May from the Jets got tagged. No, Marcus May, did I? Yes. Sorry, yes. Marcus May did get tagged. Jones is always dinged up. Hope Seattle goes after Aquara. Yeah, that would be good for Seattle. It's just whether or not they're actually going to invest in their offensive line and try to make Russell Wilson happy. Who knows? Watch, he's going to end up a New York Jet. And not Russell Wilson, I mean Aquara. Or, oh man, could you imagine if Philly actually did something smart for a change and picked up an offensive lineman for depth? That would be amazing. Jeffrey Lurie came out and said that he is instructing Howie Roseman and the new coaching regime to build around Jalen Hurts. The thing that they neglected to do with Carson Wentz. So I'm curious if they're actually going to pull this off. And partly because if Lurie's doing this strictly for the fan base to say, hey, I'm telling them to do this, and then they're not going to do it anyways, and turn around and draft a quarterback at number 6, or if they're actually going to build. Because, there's potential, if some teams do trade up in the NFL draft this year, there is some potential that we see Penei Sewell available at number 6, who is the number 1 ranked offensive lineman in the draft by most analysts. There are some other available options that would be there if Sewell does go ahead of time. But my personal opinion, if I'm the Eagles, I'm taking offensive line first round. And then from there, I'm drafting a wide receiver. That's really what you have to do in that case. But, I mean, even if they do draft a wide receiver at 6, if Jamar Chase is available, for example, If they draft Chase, that's one thing, but if they draft anybody else at wide receiver, I question their decision-making ability, because let's be quite honest, when they drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, you look at the other wide receivers that were available in the draft at that time, and you really wonder why J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was drafted where he was drafted. Because DK Metcalf was on the board. Now, hindsight's 2020. But when I'm looking at the tail of the tape between J.J. Arcega-Whiteside at the time and DK Metcalf, probably not taking J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Yeah, Hakeem Butler, absolutely. He's another one, and he has had some trouble over the last, since being drafted in 2019. So he could definitely get some playing time if he can, A, stay healthy, and B, stay out of trouble. So, and he's a talent. He is a true talent. So I'd like to see that kid get a shot. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, though. Let's see here. Waiting. It's about 6:40 right now, so I'm just checking waiting to see if Dean is actually going to be on tonight. He said he wouldn't be available till at least 7 o'clock tonight. If not, no big deal. We got plenty of sports stuff to talk about. I'm trying to not drain the well dry before Dean gets on. NBA. I'm going to switch gears just for a minute here, because it's on my mind. I'm getting a little in squirrel mode right now. So we don't have NBA games until Wednesday because of the All-Star break over this past weekend. I didn't watch the actual game, really, aside from some highlights, because it really doesn't seem fun to me anymore to watch an NBA All-Star game because there's no defense played, and I wasn't a big fan of the format. And with Kevin Durant not being able to play in the game, it kind of destroyed Team Durant for me. And they just got washed, to be quite honest. The skills challenge was kind of cool. I like Domantas Sabonis. I think he's a stud. And that was neat to see him take home the victory there. Steph Curry is insanely talented. And the way he just walked through that three-point contest was impressive. You put Steph Curry in a three-point contest, and I don't think there's many people in the NBA that would have a shot at beating him. Yeah, so impressive. The dunk contest left a lot to be desired. I mean, it was okay. Simons, the attempted kiss of the rim, even though he was a foot away from it, mouth-wise. It's impressive to get his head up that far. Don't get me wrong. Athletic ability beyond athletic ability. I just don't... A dunk contest now, to me, because so much stuff's been done. I mean, you look at what Zach LaVine and what Blake Griffin have done over the last, 8 years? 5 to 8 years. There's not much that can be done in a dunk contest we haven't already seen. So, I mean, now we're talking about, are guys going back and digging out of the Vince Carter playbooks? Are they going and digging out of the Amari Stoudemire playbooks? Are they going and digging out of the old Dwight Howard playbooks? Are they going and digging out of, all these legends from the past? And there's only so many ways you can do an under-the-leg dunk. Now, I will say a couple of years ago, Zach LaVine doing the step inside the free throw line under the leg dunk, that was incredible, because the distance you have to carry in to get that dunk and still be able to get it under the leg and dunk was craziness. And Zach LaVine is one of my favorite dunkers in the NBA, and he will be until the day he can't jump anymore, because that guy is not even discussing the fact that he's from Washington. But the kid is just immensely talented, and it's so cool seeing him become one of the main guys there, and be so electric for the Bulls, especially a Bulls franchise that has a legend like Michael Jordan. So it's a lot of fun seeing him succeed. But that man, holy crap, can he jump. The one thing that I will say that I didn't catch at first, the kid from the Pacers, and his name's escaping me, but his first, I think it was his first dunk that he did under the leg. And a lot of people did not catch this at first, as I did not either. I didn't catch this till the next day. If you go back and watch the video, and you watch videos of anybody doing an under the leg dunk, when they go under the leg that they go under is their lift leg, not the leg they jump